think, yeah.
I guess Krishna also counts.
Yeah.
Good point. Krishna counts, yeah.
Yeah. He being the chariot.
So he's the chariot driver. Detailed. And there's actually one more. Maybe we didn't even mention it, I'm not sure. But there's Arjuna's Gandiva bow and his chariot, and he's inexhaustible. What's it called this in English? Quiver. Yeah. So he had an inexhaustible quiver. And all of them was given by the demigods. And then there was what? Krishna as Bhaktavatsala? What does that mean?
He came to dominion position for his friend and devotee both.
He came for, I didn't hear it.
He came to dominion position. Being a charioteer is not being a very big position.
Taking a menial position. Being a driver.
Yeah.
Arjuna's chariot driver. Yeah. So Bhaktavatsala means really one who loves his devotee and takes care of his devotee. And Krishna proves that by driving the chariot of Arjuna. Yes. And the last section was from, no, you have one more, 21 to 27. And the last one is from 28 to 46. Last section, you remember this? You were using a lot of time on that section.
Yeah.
Arjuna starts, and there's a little more to it, very nice, you remember that. Can you sit up here? Or? Arjuna doubts and surrender.
Oh.
Surrender was also surrender. Anyone remember any of Arjuna's doubts?
The destroyer of the family tradition.
That was yours, right? You were doing that, destroyer of your family. He said, yeah, good. So he says the family will be destroyed, Krishna. And there will come Varnashangra, there will come unwanted children. And from this we will go to hell. That was one of the 5.
There will be nobody left to enjoy with even if we win, we will kill all our relatives. There will be nobody left to enjoy with.
How can we enjoy Krishna? All our friends, all one we relish and love, have died.
Also, it's a way of simple reaction.
Simple reaction is karma. We will get bad karma from this Krishna. So that's true.
Yeah, and also just is that they were all his superiors. They were actually also very pious, like Bhishma. So he said to Krishna, would you kill your own teacher, Sandipani Muni?
Yeah. So what is the policy here?
This kind of, like to kill pious people. One thing is to kill, like Arjuna.
It's also sinful reaction.
Yeah. But especially when it is pious people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. Drona child. And Bhishma is his grandfather. It's very auspicious. Then we had compassion.
Compassionate.
Arjuna was like, his heart was crying for all the persons. And the last one is maybe the most difficult to remember.
One when you're not able to make decisions.
Indecision. Yeah. Very nice. Arjuna says, but Duryodhana is actually doing a good job. He's a good politician. He might be very evil, but he's a very good politician. You can't just leave it with that, Krishna. Everything will work out. So today we will, maybe once more you had an important point also in one of the purport. What is the meaning of Govinda? The cows?
And the senses.
And the senses.
Sorry, again? I don't know.
Govinda means the one who's giving pleasure to the go, can means the senses, and it can also mean cow. So Govinda is one who's giving pleasure to the cows, also the senses. So Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Govinda, so please you take care of the give pleasure to my senses. And Prabhupada mentioned there in the purport, no, we should not take pleasure from Krishna, we should give pleasure to Krishna. Okay, and so now as usual, so I'm taking for each here. Okay, maybe I'll take this out. Yeah, sure. So in chapter 2, sorry, I consider it translated. Kept reading that. This chapter teaches us self-realization through analytical study of the material body and spiritual soul. This kind of realization comes when you work without being attached to the fruits and results, and is situated in a fixed conception of the real self. So this is more like an overview of the whole chapter. By the way, before we really start, are there any questions? Because now you were reading it at home with all the notes, so maybe you've stumbled about something.
I mean, I actually had one question about something you said last time about Dharma Shastra and like, what is the difference between
There's Artha Shastra and Dharma Shastra. Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita and what is that?
Yeah. So Artha Shastra is mostly like how to take wealth, how to become a good warrior, win a battle. Like it's politics. Whereas Dharma Shastra is more, you should be a vegetarian, you should be a good person, you should be moral, you should follow Dharma. So Bhagavad Gita is over all of them. So Arjuna is giving many explanations from Artha Shastra and some from Dharma Shastra. But Krishna, what we will hear today is saying, no, you're above that. We are following Bhagavad Gita here, even though it's Krishna speaking, but we are following Shastra. So the first section is from 1 to 10, more doubts from Arjuna and his surrender. Arjuna said, how can I find Bhishma, etc.? I should worship them, not attack them. I would rather live in the forest. I will not fight Krishna. And Krishna smiles. Why does Krishna smile?
He thinks that he's basically a warrior. How can he go to the forest? So he kind of is a little sarcastic towards him.
Yeah, in one sense, like Krishna is saying, hey, what do you want to do in the forest?
Yeah.
That's one thing, yeah, there's more to it. Yeah.
You know what goes according to his plan.
Can you understand?
It all goes according to Krishna's plan. Now Arjuna is distressed, so now I can start speaking.
Now Arjuna is ready. Now his heart is open, right? Remember last time Prabhupada was even saying in the purport there that not only was Arjuna is shivering and he was very depressed, Prabhupada said most likely he's crying because he's soft-hearted, he's a devotee. So Arjuna is crying about what is happening now for him. So he's completely devastated. He's fallen in the bottom of his chariot. And now Krishna smiles because now Arjuna is ready to hear.
Yeah, now also like Krishna is always very encouraging. So when the living entity is like really, like one time Arjuna was also ready to enter the fire, to kill himself, to fulfill some promise. And then Krishna also jokingly said, hey, what are you thinking about? What are you doing like that? So in the middle of the most amazing sorrows, materially speaking, then Krishna encourages the living entity that, smile, it is not so bad.
Yeah.
It is because we are different. We actually are different from the body.
Yeah. And Krishna's smile is so extremely attractive, just by seeing Krishna's smile. In the second verse in the purport, Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical, Prabhupada says. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Brahman, the impersonal all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma, or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. This is very important. These we should remember. So I will send you the notes, so if you don't remember them, please learn these. There's three features of the Supreme Lord: Paramatma, first Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there's the Lord as the impersonal aspect of the Lord, what the Buddhists call Nirvana, Brahma Jyoti. So that's the light coming from the body of the Lord, the aura of the Lord. And then there's the Paramatma, he's situated in each and every living entity's hearts. And there's Bhagavan. What does Bhagavan mean? We had it last time.
One who has all the six opulences.
Yeah. Can you remember any of them?
One who is very beautiful, one who is very rich, and
famous.
Very wise, intelligent.
Famous.
famous, renounced, and worth. That's
And
all.
strong.
And strong. We have that. Yeah. So that's Bhagavan, one who possesses all the opulences
In full.
in full. So these, please, if you don't know them yet, learn them. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Or maybe we should just probably give some analogies explaining these features.
Yeah, like the sun. The sun is like the Bhagavan, and it's the inside of the sun. And the surface is like the Paramatma, and the rays is like a Brahman.
Very good. Yeah. Everybody understood? In verse 7, this is the famous verse where Arjuna, he is surrendering to Krishna. Now he's saying, Krishna, I don't know what to do. He says, Kapanya dosopha tasvapava pritchami tvam dharma samujatitam yat shreyasya nishtitam bruitame sishashyam sarimam tvam prapanam. He says, now my heart is overtaken by miserliness. I don't know what to do. I'm bewildered. So please, you now instruct me. Tell me what to do. Now I'm your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. So now Arjuna is completely surrendering to Krishna. Please, I don't know what to do here. You please guide me. You please be my guru. And this is what Prabhupada speaks here in the purport to the same verse. He says, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give the one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happens without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. So sometimes like the wind will just make friction between some leaves or some bamboos and like this, and will create heat, and then fire will start. So perplexities of life is like that. Sometimes they just come. You know, of course, it's from previous karma. But sometimes it just comes like this, and they're there. So in the same way, if you do not have a spiritual master, you will always be in perplexity. Because material life means perplexity. Material life means misery. But if one has a spiritual master that can guide one and tell one, first of all, we are not this body, so there's nothing to be in anxiety about. And that we are a pure servant of Krishna. Then there's no perplexity. In verse 8, this is the verse itself. I can find no means, so Arjuna is speaking, I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is driving up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unreviled kingdom on earth with serenity like that of the demigods in heaven. That's one of Arjuna's reasons. Anyone can guess which one? Guess, figure out. Sorry. This is one of Arjuna's, the 5 reasons we had last time. Here's one of them, one more, or one of the 5.
The doubts.
Doubts or indecision. Yes. I can find no means. How can I drive away this grief? Even if I win the prosperity of the demigods in heaven, I will not be happy. So what everybody in this world, and sometimes maybe also us, are running for, Arjuna is saying straight out here, none of these things will make me happy. Not if I become as rich as Bill Gates, not even as Indra, the king of heaven. None of that, even if I enjoy the heavenly planets in this paradise world, will I be happy. There's only one thing that can give me happiness.
You said this is also doubt, this is
Enjoyment, you can also say, many of them are overlapping. So, but it's more this indecision. Arjuna is saying, I don't really know, I can find a way to get out of this.
So he's doubting whether he will be able to enjoy, or?
No, he's doubting whether it's really a good idea to fight the fight. Duryodhana is doing pretty good work. He's a good politician. Arjuna is saying he might be evil, but he's a very good politician. So can we just leave it without Krishna? Everything will be okay. So it's more like this indecision, you don't know what to do. It's bewildered. He don't want to fight. He's trying to get excuses to not fight.
You see, here it should be drying up of mouth, because in Durga there is mouth, not the senses. Or it has to be.
No, not in this verse. I think this. Anyone have that in the Bible? In text 8? I think this is correct.
Text 8?
Yeah, text 8, see if
It
it's
says only
drying
once,
up
not senses.
of the senses. Right? But Prabhupada mentioned definitely in the purport of the mouth, and maybe it's all even in another verse.
I think it's a chapter 1, it says, when
My mouth is drying up.
Yes,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it describes different godly symptoms, like
Yeah.
But what exactly would mean drying up my senses?
Sort of like I'm losing all composure. I'm like I cannot see properly. I cannot hear properly. I'm just in misery.
Maybe you should refer, I don't want to do this.
It's also amazing, even his Gangiva bow fell out from his hand, like they are like
Yeah.
inseparable.
Yeah. There's even a story to that. If you remind me later, if you have time, we can tell that story. It's very nice one, I think. But yes, there's so much to come, and I was really selective when I put all this. There was so much I had to put aside. There's so many interesting things in the second chapter. What is the chapter called?
Content of the
Content of the Gita summary. So it's the whole Bhagavad Gita we hear in the second chapter. Krishna is sort of like giving an overview of the whole Bhagavad Gita. So we get the whole thing. So that's why there's lots, and Prabhupada has some very good purpose in the whole Bhagavad Gita, but also especially here. So there's also a purpose here to the verse we just mentioned. The problems of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death, cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth or economic development. In many parts of the world there are states which are replete with all facilities of life, which are full of wealth and economically developed. Yet the problems of material existence are still present. They are seeking peace in different ways, but they can achieve real happiness only if they consult Krishna, or the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which constitute the science of Krishna. Through a bona fide representative of Krishna, a man in Krishna consciousness. So what Prabhupada is saying here, practically implicitly, is that we can only be happy if you study Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and understand it through a bona fide spiritual master or person who has realized it himself. What are the three authorities we have? Three kinds of authorities.
Sadhu,
Yep.
Shastra, and
Guru. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Everybody knows this? Guru, the spiritual master; Sadhu, the one who has realized the scriptures or learned in the scriptures; and Shastra, the scriptures. In verse 10, I'm sorry, but here in the beginning there's just we just go through a lot of text because there's so much. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies, so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society or community, but they are for all, and friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them. Everyone is entitled to hear Bhagavad Gita. It's for everyone. So it's an important point here because we heard Krishna, or Arjuna asked Krishna to drive his chariot in front of the other army, and instead the whole conversation goes on. So it's said that all the warriors here can hear it. Same is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam goes on when Sukadeva Goswami comes and talks to Parikshit. Right? Parikshit is cursed to die in 7 days, and Sukadeva Goswami comes there. And it said there's all the sages of the universe, all the rishis, all the great personalities are there. And there's thousands and maybe even millions of people. And they have no microphones, but everyone could hear. So the same here, the whole battlefield can hear what Krishna is saying to Arjuna and what Arjuna is saying to Krishna.
Why is that? Because Krishna is in Paramatma?
Must be. I have no other explanation. Or in those ages they had better hearing, or I don't know. Or everybody wants absorbed. Really, absorption.
I
that
think
everyone
better
was
hearing
very
also,
eager.
because like you were saying, millions.
Yeah, I remember I was once in Chowpatty and Ravana Swami, he came out in a brahmacharya. So this doesn't happen so often. And he started talking. He was standing in the corner and it was dark out. I think it was 9 o'clock late. So he's standing there talking, and like within minutes, the whole brahmacharya was there. So we're speaking about 100 people. So, and I also heard, but I was a little late, so I was all the way in the back. But it was so quiet. Everyone was completely quiet because everyone would hear the lecture, right? So I could also hear, even though I was all the way in the back, there was maybe 100 people in front of me in this little corner in the brahmacharya. But I could hear. So if you're eager, maybe listen to facilities. Next section, 11 to 30, fight the soul cannot die. Anyone knows what this section is about? It's a very famous section in the second chapter. Yeah?
About reincarnation?
Yes, reincarnation, more likely, more precisely, we're not this body. That's the same.
Soul and body, yeah?
Huh?
The difference between the soul and the body.
Soul and the body, yeah. Reincarnation, 100%.
Hi.
The properties of the soul.
The properties of, yeah. So Krishna is in practically here in 20 verses. He's just explaining you're not this body, Arjuna, you're not this body, Arjuna, you're not this body, Arjuna. What is he doing there? If we go back to the 5 points Arjuna gave, he's defeating at least one of the points here. By explaining you're not the body.
By saying that it's your guru and your elders, but you are not this body, so they will not die.
Yes,
You
they
don't
cannot
need to
die.
die.
There's no need to have compassion, right? They cannot die anyway.
Yeah, because there's
The
no
soul-
relation basically. It's the body relation that you're relating to, but it's not the.
Yeah.
It's the more of an illusion.
Yeah. Get off the body platform, Arjuna. Get
Yeah.
out of the illusion.
Yeah, and therefore no sins.
And therefore there's no sin, you can say. Yeah?
And God has already killed the physical body.
Yeah.
By birth itself, the nature of the body.
It's actually Krishna killing them in that sense. Yes, that's true. Also.
I'm sorry, is it in chapter 2?
Chapter
now?
2. Yeah.
Yes.
I just have a doubt after listening to all the Bhagavad Gita. Still, people was about to fight and they did not care like what they heard.
Krishna wants to fight.
No, but all these armies standing on both sides, they still want to fight. I mean, it did not change the mind of even a single person who would say, okay, I don't want to fight her.
No, on the contrary. There's people there who don't want to fight. Practically only on the Pandava side. Arjuna don't want to fight, Yudhishthira don't want to fight, Bhima wants to fight. Nakul and Sahadev, they also don't really want to fight. Right? Many of the other soldiers, they want to fight. Again, these are professional soldiers. This is for life. And maybe I gave the explanation before. It's like a football team that's all winter, but been training indoor. And at last they can come out and really have a fight, and really have a football match. So for them it's like that. It's not like, hey, we're going to kill, we're going to die here. It's just like, it's ecstasy. For them they're in ecstasy. With the exception of these personalities, Arjuna don't want to fight. He's trying to get out of it. But afterwards, at the end, in the 18th chapter, Arjuna says, Nastamoha Smithyalapva. Now there's no more illusion. Nastamoha Smithyalapva. I regain my memory by your mercy, Krishna. Sthitva Gata Sandeha. Now I'm firmly situated and there's no more doubts. Karishi Vatvam Tava. Now I'm ready to follow your instructions. That's where the war starts. After the 18th chapter. Then the war starts. Krishna wants to war. He wants to kill all the evil person. There's so much evil in the world at this time. So Arjuna wants to remove them so that there can be good life and a pious life.
It's also interesting with Karna. Karna could actually see how they were all dead and how he would also die. There were many of them, but they had that Kshatriya. And they just did, like you were saying.
For them, dying doesn't matter. Why?
They had the knowledge.
They'll go to heaven.
They go to Swarga, right? It's come now, actually. If we die, we go to Swarga. If we win, we'll get fame and we'll get wealth. Either way, we will inherit us.
Win-win
If
situation.
we win, we get it here on earth. If we die, we get it up there. So they don't care. But of course, when there comes a point in the war when it becomes very ghastly, and then even these great heroes becomes afraid, because it's like it's still such a inherent thing in our consciousness, right? That everybody is trying to extend their lives. So at one point when it becomes very ghastly, there's people here, even these great heroes, that becomes afraid. But also there's some who just doesn't care, they just die with a smile on their lips. And this is what I will do every time. Now I'll give you the important verses in this section. And then again, I'll send you all this in emails. So when you read it, please take special notion of these verses. And I'm a little doubting here if I should say Sanskrit because it takes some time. In another sense, it's so very important. Right? Because one thing is it's very important for us as preachers to learn to say the Sanskrit. Learn the Sanskrit. And we won't have much time to do it here, but maybe at one point we can even make some special sloka classes outside of this, where we learn all these verses. And it's such good meditation. When you go and you do it when you do the dishes, or even when you go to work in the bus, or you stand waiting in the queue in the bank, you can have these small notes with the verses on small notes like this, or on a paper, whatever you prefer. And then you can have these verses, and then you just let them go in your memory like this, so you learn them. Because Prabhupada used it so much. Listen to any of Prabhupada lectures, there's so many Sanskrit slokas. So it's very much a part of our sampradaya. And if we don't use it, what we are saying really is it's not so important. And then we just lose a very, very important tradition in our sampradaya, in our tradition, in our culture. And it's just like saying Sanskrit is like chanting Hare Krishna. So it's very purifying just saying the Sanskrit. And it's Krishna speaking Sanskrit. Sometimes we hear Krishna saying, always remember me, always think of me, dedicate everything to me. But Krishna is not saying this. He's saying, Manmana Bhava Matto Matyavi. That's what Krishna is saying. And then we have it in some lecture language, either it's English or Danish or worse. But actually that's not what Krishna is saying. Krishna is speaking in Sanskrit. So, at least for these. The first one is 2:12, where Krishna is saying, Atve Vaham Jatunasam, Natram Nime Janatikam, Nachayvana Bhavishama, Savivayam Athapam. That never was the time when I did not exist, nor you nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So Krishna is explaining here, we all existed eternally. I, you and all these kings out there, they all existed eternally. You cannot die, you cannot kill them, so you do not fear. Again, defeating a numerous reasons. Next one is saying the most famous verse. Anyone want to say that? Most famous verse by Huh? No, that's not one. No, that's not. This is yeah. Anyone knows this? You know this? That's good. You know?
As an embodied soul wanders in this body from childhood to old age, youth to old age, the soul similarly changes
to another
body. At the time of death, a self-realized person is not bewildered by such a change.
Yeah. So this is very good for preaching. Like we were speaking before about reincarnation. When you want to explain to people you're not this body, you can say you once had a body like this size. Now you're this size, right? And maybe you'll get this size, and then you go down a little bit. But who can remember? Who is it remembering these different stages? One had a baby body, a child body, a youth body, and old age you will eventually get. So who is the observer? Who is seeing this change of bodies?
Parents or God?
Huh?
Either your parents or the God?
Yeah, God does, Krishna does, but the soul is the one we observe. You can remember we was a child. You can remember many things from your childhood. Yeah. But even science says that some say 9 years, some say 11, everything changes. Everything changes in the body. It's constant because it's dying. The body is constantly dying. So it's just coming new cells, new nails, new everything, new bones. New brains, no new brains. They're dying also. That's just so many of them. So, but the body we had 11 years back doesn't exist anymore. But we can remember stuff 11 years back and make it remember. 2:14, you had it before?
Sorry.
The 2:14, we said before, much sponsors to come to it. Lots of spashas coming to us.
Sukha dukkha bhav, ye jana agama payam anitya.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tamsti.
Matra spashas to come to us, it was not Sukha Agama Painunitas, Tams to Tixas Vapavata. So the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance of happiness of summer and winter seasons. They arise from sense perception of summer's barrage, and one should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So Krishna is saying here, you should tolerate all these. Arjuna is saying, but I will suffer if I know they will change bodies, but why should I be the cause of them changing bodies? I will suffer from this. And Krishna is saying, no, you just have to learn to tolerate. Tams titiksha means to tolerate. So you just have to tolerate. It's like the winter and summer season. Now it's winter, it's cold, now it's terrible. But summer's nice. So we tolerate both. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport there's like a lady will not cook in the summertime. And a person will also not go and take his bath even though it's cold out. In the winter meant that they're bathing in the river. So even though it's cold, so they still take their bath. So 16. Nasato vitate bhavo, nabhavo vitate sataha, upayoa apdrisvantvas, pranayostvat padashina. But those who are seers of the truth, they have concluded that of the non-existent and material body, there is no endurance, and of the soul, there is no change. Those who are wise, or those who are seers of the truth, they have concluded this. So he's again saying, the body, there's no endurance, but the soul is the important thing. This is where we should focus. This is what should be our focus point. And last one, Najayati mriyate va katachin nayam buddha avtan huya atyo nicha sasvato yam purana nahanyate hanimane sarire. You know the translation?
Can you start?
For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any point. It does not come into existence. Does not come into existence and will not come into existence. Yeah. He's eternal, ever existence, and unborn. And he's not killed when the body is killed. At least that's what used to be. Okay. In verse 17 in the Purport Prabhupada says, the soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of airs, prana, apana, jnana, samana, and udhana. Just you want to know the term for those. Situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. How is to be understood that the soul is situated in the heart? Isn't that a little
yes.
weird?
No, it isn't. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but I just think it's important that even if you're dead or your body is very
No, but I'm asking, you should answer my question if you want to speak there. Why isn't it weird that the soul is sitting in the heart?
All the
Emotions.
All the feelings, emotions are in the heart, yes, we can say. But still isn't it weird?
It isn't weird. I don't think it's weird. I think it's natural.
We tend to think from our mind and intellect. Generally we perceive and we follow our mind and intellect and we say everything through that.
Yep.
And we don't realize that soul exists in the heart, and we don't actually realize our body, and we associate ourselves with the false ego.
Okay, can anyone explain me the heart? What is the heart? What is a heart?
It pumps blood.
A pump, yeah, exactly. The big pump that goes in there and pumps blood around the body.
Muscle.
A muscle. So is that where the soul is sitting? What about people who get heart transplantation? The soul goes also. So that's not really, but it's true, but that's not where the soul is sitting. So how do we understand this?
It's in the region.
In the
Region of
the heart region. It's in this area. So it's not in the palm. That is very important, right? If somebody asks you, where's the soul? It's in the palm. No, it's not. But it's in this region. How big is it?
It's almost like
10,000.
Very small.
10,000 slices of your tip of hair.
Second, can you say that very loud?
10,000 slices of tip of the hair.
1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. I don't have so much. It's not on the length, of course, it's on the height. So you take here and put 1,000 on, and take one of these points and divide in 1,000. This is the size of the soul. Basic. This is one inside key junction. Sorry, but we are running a little.
Sorry, but you could also say if a person has a connection to his mind and his heart, he's a good human being.
Yeah.
So that the soul must be in the heart.
In one sense, it's the same.
Yes.
We're speaking about in that sense.
Yeah.
Verse 20, again, Prabhupada says, qualitatively, the small atomic fragmentary part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called steady or kutastha. Star means like steady. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. These 6 are also very good to know. So if you don't know them, please see if you can memorize these. Come into existence, stay for some time, produces some offspring, gets some children, gradually dwindles and dies. Did I get all of it? Vanishes into night. Verse 21, purport. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the persons in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of peace cannot be blamed, because he ordered violence to another person according to the codes of justice. And another analogy, a surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. So this is again Prabhupada explaining why violence is not necessarily bad. Often it is, but not in all cases. Somebody can give me an example when violence is good? If it's for dharma, yeah.
To protect yourself if someone tries to hit you or kill you, you can protect yourself.
Definitely, or maybe your children or family, or you protect. Yeah. So if, then violence is of purpose and is necessary. So then non-violence in that case would actually be violence. So if you say I'm non-violent, so you can kill my children, it's okay. That's violence. So Prabhupada gives 2 analogies here, right? One was a judge, and he's giving capital punishment. He's not to be punished for that. And a surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient or hurt him, but to cure him. Verse 25 in the purport, there are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based on the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept it. So what Prabhupada is saying here in essence is we cannot trust our senses. Our senses are constantly deceiving us. We cannot trust our eyes, we cannot trust our ears, we cannot trust our tongue, we cannot trust our skin. We cannot trust any of our senses. Anyone can give an example of that? Just to keep you awake. Anyone can give an example of how we cannot trust our senses?
When you're sleeping and you're dreaming,
Yeah.
you see something, you hear something, and you believe that's reality.
That's a good example. And it's not realistic.
Also, if you're in love, for example,
Yeah.
you might not see a person. If he's a bad, you think he's a good person, and then you discover later that he might be bad for you.
Many, I think, have perhaps a direct experience of that.
Women must have that experience.
You say blinded by love, huh? Blinded by lust.
But this is the function of the mind, not the senses. Right? What we are
Yeah, but
discovering.
but in one sense, but the mind is one of the senses, the sixth sense. Probably call the mind the sixth sense, but it's true really. But still, it's
And you cannot
driving back
trust
the
your
point.
senses because you are born with imperfect senses. We cannot see behind the wall even.
Yeah.
And we have a tendency, we are under illusion, we have a tendency to cheat others. And
last, only mention 3 of them.
They're limited.
Huh?
They are limited. Our senses are limited.
Our senses are limited.
That's why I think William Shakespeare said, "Love all, trust a very few, and hurt no one."
Yeah. Love all, trust
A very few, and
no one.
hurt no one. Do wrong to none, actually.
Mhm. Yeah. So we cannot trust our senses. When we see the sun, we see like this on the surface of the planet or the sky. But it's a huge planet. Many millions of times bigger than the sun. Or our planet, the Earth. Huge planet. When you drink something very sour and afterwards drink something neutral, it'll taste very sweet. You also saw this photo where in one sense you see an old lady and a young lady at the same time, you know?
Yeah, and a rabbit and a lady.
Yeah, rabbit also.
I have a question if you have...
I just heard this very striking analogy here that you were saying you can analyze so much about the soul and the body and the universe, and yet if I turn out the light, you cannot see it.
We cannot even see, Prabhupada says we cannot even see the hand in front of us. And if the eyelid, we cannot even see our eyelid. Who can see the eyelid? No one can see the eyelid? We can't. When we close, it's dark. We can't see it.
My question was, every time we talk about soul in our religion, and we really believe that it's so strong, powerful, this and that, but I just think that one person can just grab you by neck and the soul is out. So is it really that strong, or why shouldn't we believe that we are this body? Because we are so dependent on this body. I'm here because of this body, let's say. I'm talking to you, or I'm even in Denmark because of this body has made me come. It's not the soul, I think, because somebody can just take the soul out of my body like this, you know?
Yeah.
And so why is it all this?
Because if somebody takes out the soul of your body, then where are you? Then they quickly will know, will just be
On the
lying
floor.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
you will not be there. You're the soul, you go with the soul. And according to your karma, you will get a new body. So that's you. Prabhupada gives the example, you can have a bird in a cage, and if you always just go and polish the cage, but give no food to the bird inside, what will happen? You will have a very nice cage, but the bird inside will die. So we are the soul. But because of ahankara, because of false ego, we are identifying with this body. And it's practically impossible not to. But that's really what Bhagavad is teaching us. And this is one of Krishna's reasons here to Arjuna. That you're not this body, Arjuna. This is what he's saying here in 20 verses. So that is the ABC in spiritual life, really. The sooner we can realize this, I have actually nothing to do with this body except I'm living in it. Like I'm living in a house or I'm driving in a car. Prabhupada gave the example, you can drive in your car and somebody drives into you. I even said it. Right? But he doesn't like drive into you, he drives into your car. But the man in the car will say, you hit me. No, I drove into your car, I hit your car. I didn't hit you. But the identification is there. Or maybe even better when you go to the movies. But if you see a movie of Prabhupada or something, Mahabharata, then whatever happens, it's just like this. This is just some light on the screen. So, but it forms together these small lights, forms here in this case words or persons that has feelings, but it's nothing but lights on the screen. And if I turn this up, you cannot see anything. So, but we identify with what happens. That's when there's something very sad going on in Mahabharata, or something very romantic, like we see the ladies are crying. Maybe sometimes we men are crying. So because it really touches our heart, we are identifying with the person on the screen. Now they have something like called virtual reality. So that's even enhancing even more the false identification. So Krishna created the perfect virtual reality, where we are in a situation due to our past karma, and we identify with the body. Not only are we identifying with the body, but we are worshipping the body. But the body actually gives us problems all the time. We're just so used with it. And sometimes you get pain in the back, and sometimes you get disease, sometimes there's so many problems. You have to wash it every day, otherwise it's stinking, you have to take it to the toilet, you have to feed it so many times a day, you have to sleep 6 hours a night. So many inconveniences are there with the body. But we just say, oh, because it's me, it's okay. But it's not me. So we need to stop this identification. I have nothing to do with this body, I want to live with it. And as soon as we're really free from the body, meaning we're not identifying with the body, immediately transcend the modes of nature. This is as Mancha Yoga Pacharina Bhakti Yoga Siddhi Sadhanan Samachitatan Brahma Puya Yakamati. One who engages full in devotional service immediately transcends the modes of nature and comes to the level of Brahma. Brahma means you understand who you are. Thank you for that question. Right?
So the feelings of hatred or any feeling that you have love, compassion or anything, so this is something in heart and that is related to soul and not the body. So the body is like the machine which executes the actions based on the 3 modes of nature that we work in.
Yeah, but really most of our feelings really are also upon more in the subtle body. The gross body, Bhumi Apavano Vayu, the gross body will consist of earth, water, fire, and ether. This is the gross body. And then the subtle body is mind, intelligence, and force. So really all our feelings, thinking, willing, that goes on in the mind. So often when we think, okay, now I understand I'm not this gross body. But then what happens is we identify with the mind. So that also we need to transcend. I'm not the mind either. I'm a pure spirit.
So the feelings that we have, are they at the
Mostly,
mind or the soul?
Mostly in the soul, in the mind. Mostly in the mind. But that does not, because also the nature of the soul is also to have feelings, of course. But it's just the soul is so covered by all these layers. So it's very little of the soul that really comes through. But the feelings we have for Krishna, that's from the soul. But the feelings we have now would be what likes an ice cream. That's most likely the mind. And if it's even we're speaking about mundane love or lust or what we call it, that's the mind. Yeah. When it's for Krishna and it's genuine, because also we can be sentimental about Krishna. We can be sentimental in the mind, right? So we can have a very sentimental approach to Krishna consciousness. Oh, there was once Prabhupada, there was once a person raising his arm after Prabhupada's lecture. He said, Prabhupada, when I'm chanting, I see a flickering red light. And Prabhupada said, just continue chanting, it will disappear. So sometimes it has something like it's like in mind, because it sounds very advanced, or when I'm chanting, I see Krishna dancing with the gopis, and then we should be very careful. This will happen on very advanced stages, and then it's the soul. But this can also happen on the level of the mind. So that's why we're constantly in danger. Even when we think we're doing right, it can still be the mind. That's why we have the 3 reference point we had before: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So if we do not have a Guru, what we hear about here also, if we do not have a Guru, we're in trouble. We need somebody to guide us, somebody we can ask. I had this realization: is this what I should do in spiritual life? It can be our mind, or it can be the soul, but often we don't know. Yes.
Just a small point. With the understanding that we are not this body, we have to actually understand that we have been given this body to execute certain tasks. So we have to maintain in a healthy way.
Okay. Yeah, it's our duty to maintain the body. It's not our body, it's Krishna's body. So we've been given this body in order to we can use it in a Krishna conscious way, and then it's the source for our deliverance, attaining the love of Godhead. What is the goal of life? So again, the body does not belong to us, it actually belongs to Krishna. Our duty is to maintain it. That means it's our duty to see that it gets exercise, gets proper food, and it gets psychological, nourishment. All these things is our duty, so that the body is healthy, so that we can actually perform Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada would end practically all his letters with a few exceptions. Hope this meets you in good health. He doesn't say, hope this meets you in very, very high Krishna consciousness. Hope this meets you in good health. Because it's very, very difficult to be Krishna conscious if you do not have good health. Kulakshetra, a great saint, he was praying, my dear Lord, let me die now when I'm healthy. Because when I'm old, I'm going to die, right? All the life heirs, remember we heard about the 5 life heirs here before? They will be in disturbance, they will be in disarray.